Hey Mark, wonderful to be speaking to you again. And it's been a while since we met in person, but let's record some great content here for What a Procurement DPW. Really excited about New York in just over a week, right? 11th, 12th of June. It's hopefully going to be a good one.
It's going to be great. You got the dates right. I think I've got that
Just
wrong a
about.
few times so far. Also loving we've synced up on our beards nicely, young and
Yeah.
fresh for the summer ahead.
I'm not sure I look too young at the moment. My facial hair has got increasingly white, despite being in my 30s. It's just one of those challenges. So DPW, a big focus on AI. I was in Amsterdam in October, right? And the buzz around AI there was incredible. And it seemed for probably the first time that people had got even more excited about tech and what it can do. I think the last, let's call it 8-9 month period, AI has exploded even more. Like the foundation models are changing almost daily. It feels like at times, everyone's doing really cool stuff with it. What gets you excited about AI in procurement? You've been around, Mark, I think, since I was a kid in procurement, leading the way. So I always massively respect everything you have to say in this space.
Yeah, well, I turned 50 a couple of weeks ago,
No
so
way. Jeez.
I'm not sure you're a kid wearing short shorts then, but yeah, it's fascinating times. I was playing around with the new Perplexity Labs module today, which is
Yeah.
really, really good for beyond deep research in terms of creating stuff. So like every week, every month, the exponential growth of AI and what it can do is coming. So it is fascinating and yeah, really excited for New York because I think it's for procurement execs. I catch up with them on a regular basis. It's just moving so quickly
Yeah.
for how it can affect their role, but also they're buying on behalf of their businesses, and it's going to transform work completely. So I also love, technology changes. I'm 93, I went to university and the internet was coming out, and that just distracted me from my biology degree that I was doing. And then I wrote the kind of more client server SaaS, and now we're into, I think, the biggest shift with AI. And I think the title of the event, Put AI to Work, is a key one. It's not just about the hype anymore. It's really
Yeah.
about how you start rewiring your organization with AI. I think CEOs are now seeing it with the agentic side, that this is the change that's going to come through. Obviously, that comes with some ethical challenges around the jobs that people will do. But yeah, it's just the time to get into it. I just had did a podcast with Bernard Raschke, one of my mentors, ex-PwC, AT Kearney consultancy lead. He talks about this being a wave, and you need to ride this wave, but also get ready for the next wave coming through because it's coming at such speed. And there's no chance that you can't really start adopting and getting into the AI side. But it's curiosity is the thing now. You have to get super, super curious. Net curiosity score of
Mm.
CPOs and members of the team is going to be critical as they look at what the potential can be for AI in the procurement world, but also how it changes the functions that they're supporting in the business as well.
Yeah, really good points. I think the point on curiosity, right? I love that you're playing around with Perplexity's new, let's call it feature. I just got an email. I actually, just Perplexity, I love that product. I actually got onto a scholarship with them earlier this year. So I've got access to pretty much everything from them. I just absolutely love it. They just gave it all to me for free. It's wonderful. So
I
it's
think, yeah, well, I
just
need
like
to find out how to become
yeah,
a
yeah.
scholar of Perplexity as well.
I will try and hook you up if I can. But I think you made like a really good point, right? That stuff's moving so fast. I've been talking internally at Gatekeeper, like we're struggling to keep up with the range of changes from, say, foundation models, everything that's going on, what people do, and just across SaaS in general. It's incredibly difficult to keep up. It almost feels like a full-time job. So this is why I'm so excited to get to New York and just have that collective knowledge, mind share, and hopefully really curious people asking really cool questions or talking about really cool things in this space. In terms of the hype, AI has been hyped for a number of years. It kind of didn't really fulfill too many promises pre-Gen AI. Last couple of years, it's really started to work. On the agent side, and you mentioned around like the CEO mandate, the ethical considerations people work in, how do you think that's going to play out in terms of procurement roles in the future? And I do some thinking on this occasionally, and I think there's a lot in procurement that could vanish, go away, and it's like, what do they go and do next? Is there a need for as many people in role? And I think these are kind of the spicy topics, the challenges that a lot of people are worried about with AI.
So again, I'm just referencing this podcast series in the run up to DPW, and I caught up with Paris Sood, and we always talk about capability improvement within the function. I think now what we're looking at is capability from people, but also digital. How we can achieve what we need to do in the operating model with agents and people is probably the way you're looking at investing in new capability. And I guess we could have talked about that in the technology stack, but SaaS on the whole was, again, form filling in and then going to the next stage. So it was a process that had been digitized. Now we're looking, I think the true AI native solutions are what's the outcome, and then the solutions are building back from the outcome, and how we can have agentic workflows as well as agents coming through. Bigger picture or zooming out, I was looking at Eric Schmidt from ex-Google talking about how AI is going to change things. He was talking about the reducing population and how we need agents to now fill the gap, which I'm not completely bought into. That's the solution to it. I think particularly in the procurement space, there's lots of things that procurement do really well in the current operating model, but also restricts them from doing some of the value creation stuff, which is just sitting there and ready for them to do in terms of really driving, I guess, beyond the cost savings, sustainable supply, all the things that are super important aren't going to go away. But how do we drive that competitive advantage to the business through supplier innovation and driving new business models, which is also going to come to the business as they look to adopt a consumer and customer behavior as well. So I think it unlocks a new value proposition for the procurement function. I think some roles, and again, Detlev Schultz told me maybe 10 years ago, he said that the jobs that my kids are going to do haven't been invented yet. So the roles in procurement will change. We look at category managers, they've got this role, depending on the size of your company, which is pretty broad. There's so much stuff a category manager needs to do, from the contract management, as intimately, from supplier relationship management to all the stakeholder side. So how do you do all those jobs amazingly well?
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
I think it's where we get to augmenting the individuals in there and taking away some of the grunt work from them.
Hmm.
Still needing that human in the loop, because the human in the loop part is critical, but just putting them on steroids and superpowers. So I think it's really going to augment a lot of the work and also present a lot of that information in and around it. So I think it's a new value proposition, a new operating model. Will it change roles? Absolutely, it will change roles. And I think back to that net curiosity, I think procurement practitioners with AI are still going to have a job if they're embracing it and curious about it. Those who aren't augmenting themselves or push back, then they're going to be challenged. So it is a challenge. I don't think it is purely an age thing, that we'll talk about Gen Z and the younger people adopting AI. I think it's a mindset. Even me as a 50-year-old person, I'm probably overly
I think you're
excited.
one of the most curious people I've ever come across, Mark. So I think the age question just is so irrelevant, right, to any of this. Like you say, it's got no bearing whatsoever. I think it's all about that mindset and having that want to go and try these out. I think it's a really good point. I think people who aren't curious about AI, who aren't already playing with AI, could find themselves in a really poor position to leverage their procurement future. But I like the quote, like, my kids' jobs, my kids' future jobs aren't made yet. I try and have that conversation with my children. I'm trying to get them using AI in quite a safe, constrained manner already, and it's incredibly challenging. It's like, how do you set them up for it? How do you make these curious skills develop at a young age? And I think about that for procurement. We're adults, so hopefully we can bring those skills along the journey to whatever this is going to do for us, right? But it's, the co-intelligence, the co-worker model, I think is going to be a huge unlock. Like you say, category managers can have such a broad remit, and a lot of just procurement, whatever their title is, the remit has become so broad over recent years, and no one is doing 100% on any one of those. And if they are, then neglecting so much other work right now. So if we can free them up, let's do it.
I mean, look, I've spent 10 years on the Visible project, looking at supplier collaboration innovation, and we've worked with great companies on that. But the challenge on that is not many companies have dedicated resources in it, don't have the business objective, sometimes alignment with the organization, but it takes time, and savings, what you
Always
have to hit this quarter and what you're going to have to do this year are there,
Yeah.
and it's the first thing that goes. So actually, I've made the bold decision with Visible to actually take it from a SaaS business into an AI native organization, and that's across the whole business. Like, have a think about if you had a blank piece of paper and looking at the operating model for procurement and how you would run. You haven't got the people that you're trying to change
Yes.
and do, but how would you run? And I think that's the mindset we need to look at, is rather than how do we take the current operating model and add AI to it. So here's the blank piece of paper. How would we run an AI native procurement function?
Yeah.
Start that way, and then work out how do we migrate the team, and it's going to have to take time to do it, but how would we migrate to that position? And it is fascinating when you start with the AI first mentality. I mean, just a simple thing with all these meetings. I mean, obviously when we do our meetings now, most people are recording them, and it's transformational, the notes in there. Then
It's
you
just the
build up
task
that.
list, the summaries, like it all done. Like, I mean,
All
it
done.
doesn't mean you switch off necessarily during the call, but it's a great help, right? Already.
You look at, business stakeholder management. Do we really understand what the business is all about? Well, we've obviously pulled in the annual report. We've pulled in all the quarterly reports that are coming in around the financials of our organization and all our suppliers that we're working with. If we could do that as humans and actually remember all that information when we're looking at our sourcing strategies or our partnership strategies, it would be amazing. But our brains haven't got that capability to do it. So
Yes.
just to bring conversations and then what we'll call our RAG or our vector database in there as well, just gives you superpowers on how you can deal with these and creating the follow-ups and actions. So I think it transform, and I think that starting with what an AI operating model in 2030 would look like, and then building that back into your business. We're seeing these point solutions coming on top of current SaaS solutions, or SaaS companies really adding great AI additions in there as well. And I think the big thing is also defining agentic workflows from agents. I think there's a difference. We're seeing agentic workflows coming through at the moment. There are a few companies, again, who are going purely for the agent model, where we'll speak to, let's say, Cara, and they'll do my category manager for me. I think that's cool, to get predictable outcomes from an agent, and be completely, just it's going to go and do it for you without understanding the logic, the
Behind
decision
it all,
making.
right?
Yeah, I just think it's a little bit too far at the moment.
It's bold, is what I would say. I agree, by the way, like everything you just said really resonated, because at Gatekeeper we were thinking about how do you turn this company that's done all right, it's quite financially stable, has really good backing now from Vista Equity. How do we change the operating model throughout the entire business to be AI first? What does that look like? But then what does that look like on the product? So we're doing the agents layered into the workflows, predictable, people already comfortable with their processes. It's not such a like, oh, here's this abstract thing that's just going to go off and do stuff. And we know that procurement can be quite risk averse. They're very particular. So I'm not quite convinced of like the agent just working somewhere, because I'm sure you've had conversations like people just still cagey sometimes about just working in the cloud, which blows my mind in procurement. Like they still want on-prem or something. It's quite funny.
Well, I was speaking to Lucy Harding, one of the exec recruiters within the procurement supply chain space. We did a podcast recently, and she had done some research ahead of it for the boards and so forth about adoption of AI. And that safety net, both from a compliance side, is our data safe and so forth, is a key part. So how do you create safe environments? I think for corporates is going to be a key part of trusting that the AI is not going to go do something random and lose data or do something. But then in addition, you need the curiosity in there as well. I think Adam Brown over at Maersk, he's gone into their platform business. So slightly outside of procurement, but it's kind of like an IT function that supports different parts of the business. I think he's got about 60 or 70 people in his team.
Wow, that's incredible.
They've created safe spaces, and they're subscribing to new models, and they can work on these and play with them in safe ways. So huge net curiosity score. They've got a large organization that they're trying to change in there as well. So I think that's kind of one of the benchmarks that I'm seeing as a corporate that is trying to make it safe so they can explore, and the compliance side as well. But I think the other part is, and it came from Matt Ziske, another conversation I had recently. He's a former CPO of Airbnb and Box, and more traditional kind of pharma companies in the past, but he's now a VC. We're talking about the rise of new companies. So if you were creating a company in late 2024 and 2025, and we're seeing it in the tech space, so companies like Cursor and Lovable and all these ones.
I love Lovable and Cursor and Replit. I've played so much with those, like made my own apps just at the weekend, and I'm like, how? Anyway, I don't want to digress too much there.
Well, no, but they're companies of 10, 20 people.
20 people, yeah. With crazy valuations, good revenue. It's definitely possible.
Right, but this is this is the thing now, is you're going to be buying technology from AI native companies. You're going to have a team maybe of 10 or 20 people who are building a really, really good solution for you. Now, previously, you might have been rocking up and coming to your organizations or visiting the Coupa or the SAP events and seeing these hundreds of people there and looking at who their massive investors are, and they've done a series, I don't know, D, E, they're going to go to IPO. You're not going to have that anymore. You're going to have to get super intimate. As Matt said, is like, this is not the same buying process for SaaS. And if you get stuck in the same thing that you're buying it in that way, you're going to come unstuck. So it's unlearning that you're going to have to really get super intimate. And the people who know AI are going to be the founders, because they are so in depth of it. They're understanding the LLMs. The big thing in the world now is the MCP servers. I mean, we were RESTful APIs was everything that we were working on, and integration. Now you have an agent talking to another system and just unlocking all the features and being able to do all you want to do.
Yeah, just sitting above that integration layer. It's incredible, right? Like it's going to open incredible doors for everyone. Everyone's going to deploy it in their SaaS, hopefully, because if they don't, they're dead.
But also, if you look at the enterprise, I think Microsoft and Slack have got a really strong position with their ability to interface with everyone through the lovely, the systems they have. But
yeah, I do.
Every application can internally be talking to each other with an LLM in there as well.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of procurement tech will be navigated by a user for too much longer, right? Like if someone has they're a Microsoft company and they're using Copilot, the potential just to go use that to get all the information, have all those processes running in the background is actually quite ideal. if you can only have one interface. I think every worker can get a little bit overwhelmed with all these different systems that you constantly have to go and talk to and play with. So MCP could be a wonderful one. Yeah, Microsoft Slack, Salesforce, really well placed, right? Just
Well, I've been speaking to I was speaking to the team from Zip and Oro recently. Obviously, they're doing the orchestration side.
yeah,
They went the step before where the other systems were with I guess Zip kind of created the category there and making it simple for the buyers and the workforce to interact with procurement and their suppliers as well. But yeah, it's just fascinating times, and it's only going to get stronger. But I think ultimately we're going to see the procurement organization, their curiosity, how do they work with their current tech stack? How are those companies quickly innovating? And this is the interesting part, the innovation cycle of current solution providers and
yeah,
adding value. Vaporware has been sold. It's the highest, I think the biggest selling software in the world is vaporware. Now it's about getting the speed of this coming through. And look, it's not super easy. The fact that Apple Intelligence is not that it's not that
horrendous.
intelligent.
It is the worst, one of the worst products I've ever used. I've even been questioning my Apple choices of late.
Yeah. So I think there is a challenge of getting it right into a large organization. So your traditional tech stack, how are they transforming? Where are you then testing these things out? I think the AI native companies are going to be easier to do proof of concepts and testing because it's a lot quicker speed of using these applications, of getting them up and running and value coming through, but probably a lower cost. So you're going to get that curiosity that we're talking about internally with AI native. They should be able to be out testing these applications and then taking them forward. But the pricing is also going to change a lot. So we're used
Completely.
to seats, and seats was a great model. I mean, I come back from the days where I was selling recruitment software back in the day, and ultimately we would sell a CD, a perpetual license, with 10 to 15% per year for maintenance and upgrades.
Upkeep. Yeah.
And you'd
Yeah.
walk out of that deal signed, and you'll be jumping in the what do you call it? Not waterfall, but the things outside the main office because you just locked in a £2 million deal which they're paying all up front, and
Yeah. And you've got that much recurring.
Into the pond outside the
Yeah.
office. Now with the AI native side, the pricing's really changing. So we're now looking at outcomes.
Outcome-based pricing per task, per
we're trying to.
workflow, per whatever, right? Per token. It's an incredibly. It's really hard, by the way. Like this is something I'm trying to figure out. At Gatekeepers, the pricing model going forwards when agents are delivering outcomes now, it completely changes like you say, the value prop of a product.
Yeah, well, we should catch up on that one. I'm doing the same here. But the other part is then you're looking at the cost of the credits. So the credits we're buying now will obviously drop. So we're doing amazing models getting cheaper. We had DeepSeek launch an open source version, which I have installed on my machine here, and it's ridiculously good, and it's open source. And they're distilling these models down into tiny models. So tiny models are also a really interesting parts.
Like you say, competing with the vastness of a foundation OpenAI model, right? It's incredible.
And then also procurement need to evaluate, and I think this is the interesting part, both for startups or AI native startups as well as buyers, is there enough depth? So will the LLM, the foundation model, just do this work in the foundation model, and do I need to buy a solution on top? So that's where the depth of knowledge, and I think that's where we're going to find with AI native founders, it's really understanding what the problems they're solving, because they have to get deep into it and they have to have that vision of going forward. So that really getting behind the founder is going to be super important, because they're ahead of what the LLM is. They are going to not just give you superpowers today, but they're going to 10x those in the future. And carry on going. But yeah, I think pricing is really interesting. It's not going to be per seat. So that was also going to allow people to start adopting, but also then scaling it. And then there's going to be the challenge of a large procurement organization saying, this piece of tech is delivering a lot of value, but it's only a 20-person organization, and now I'm going to try to beat them up on their pricing because
Oh yeah,
I'm trying
that
to do I'm going to do
so
a
true.
cost model on it. They haven't got 500 people and developers, but they're driving a lot more value than the old SaaS providers before.
Yeah, this the procurement operating model is going to have to adapt because I think they'll lose if they're going to try that. I think the AI natives are going to have such a huge demand. The 20-person org, right? Like it could be quite a sweet spot.
I love scaled businesses. I like a 20-person organization. It's just a beautiful set of people. There's no politics in there. Everyone's completely aligned.
Yeah,
It's great. You get to 50 and you start getting a little bit of politics coming through. If you haven't established the culture, then it's hard to do. But yeah, I mean, again, with Visible and its new iteration, no more than 20 people are going to be in this business. And
yeah. A
hopefully we
sound move,
can.
by the way. It's
Yeah,
such a
well, it's
good
a
move.
big move though.
Yeah.
How hard is it for a company to flip from a SaaS to
Oh,
an AI native? It's very, very hard.
we're doing the same, by the way, at Gatekeeper. Maybe not on so much on headcount. We're quite lean already, but just trying to make sure everyone has the right skill set. The safe. You mentioned Anna Brown making a safe space at Maersk. Like we've done the same. It's so vital. So much fun. Like I've never had more fun in my life working. I might feel more tired than I've ever felt. Though. Mark, I just want to ask as we wrap things up here. You're doing some stuff at DPW in New York. I think you're on. I think are you chairing a couple of like fireside type chats, some panels, or I've seen your
Yeah,
name dotted here, there, and everywhere as always because yeah, you're the busiest guy I know at times.
well, I'm not sure about that. I try and not do too much to get my agents to do the work for me. But yeah, no, I'm doing one presentation, a keynote on AI native and why it will change SaaS forever. So kind of touching on some of the points that we talked today. I'm doing a panel session, I think, with Noah Eisner, so the founder of Cooper, which we're looking forward to as well. And then
Mm.
about 5 or 6 different podcasts with different CPOs who are presenting at the event and also some of the advisory boards. So it should be a great session. And then they'll have me running around doing lots of other stuff. But the main thing is it's going to be, I think it just gets that topic area of putting AI to work. I'm really excited about Matt Z. Ziski's session. So he's talking about the future operating model of procurement because it does come to that point of where we're going on this. And I
Yeah.
think he's got a really interesting view as a former CPO and now venture capitalist investing in the space as well. I think he was one of the first people. I think his first check into Zip, so they're Airbnb guys there. So a nice first punt he's made there. I think they're already a
Yeah,
three,
definitely.
four, $5 billion organization in
A
a relatively
ridiculously
short period of time.
large. Yeah.
Yeah, so look, I'll be around. You're going to be there as well. I think there's some
Yes.
paddle going on. There's going to be some parties going on,
I'm gonna have to try
and
and get in on the paddle scene because it looks so much fun.
well, we'll have to get. And we might not have time to do it before we go, but when you come back, I'll set up a game as well. And I said, if anyone watching this is going to be there, just make sure your sneaker game is on point because, as you
So
know,
true.
there is a bit of
The
a competition
photographers.
around. Your
Yeah, yeah.
shoes will be on LinkedIn and all over the place. So come with your
Yeah.
best pair of sneakers as well.
And not in a suit, just like a suit and well, you've got an all American mark. It's definitely trainers, man. Just
Well, look, I'm wearing the brand today, so
I
it'll
see it.
work.
I see it. Well, Mark, absolute pleasure, dude. I'm really excited for it. I've never been to New York for one, and to be able to combine going to New York for the first time with my favorite procurement conference is actually quite nerdy, but I'm ecstatic.
Okay, well, we'll have to. Mateus, the founder of DPW, who's working for me for years out of
Yeah,
Manhattan and
procurement
Brooklyn, but we
leaders
know
days,
some.
right?
Yeah, and Visible, he was there. So
Yeah,
there's some great pizza places really close by. So you know my passion. I
I'm
was
sold.
also an
Yeah,
investor in
the pizza
Godfrey, so
company. Yeah,
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 so
the outdoor oven. Yeah,
yeah. So let's go and find some pizza, get some paddle and some procurement. It seems like a good combination.
absolutely. Yeah,
All right.
awesome,
Well,
Mark.
lovely to see you.
Yeah, likewise.